welcome to my guest, Ari Chambers. Ari is a journalist and a social media manager who founded Bleacher Report's social platform, HighlightHER, launched NBA TV's first WNBA Center interview show, and has focused her career on amplifying women's voices and turning the spotlight on women's basketball and sports. I am pleased to welcome Ari Chambers to the podcast. Ari, thanks for joining us on NetLife.
It's like you're a superstar in so many ways, Coach. I'm happy to be here. I'm just lucky, blessed.
Well, Ari, you are doing so much. The fact that you've launched HighlightHER, like really the name itself is incredible. Did you come up with that yourself?
I came up with the name myself. When Bleacher actually handed me the platform, it was named something else, but it had no followers, and we started from the ground up. So that's my stamp on it, and I think it perfectly signifies exactly what we're trying to do in highlighting her in the sport and culture space.
I know, but tell the audience what prompted you to start it.
I'm looking right at her. It's people like you. And it's funny because we were just talking a couple months ago about how you're forever indebted to the game. And I feel like I am too, because even though I didn't play, I had people like you to look up to. I had Coach K.Yao to look up to. I mean, I'm from the 919. You played down at the 704. Now you stayed in the Carolinas. Well, you didn't stay there, but you ended up in the Carolinas and doing what you do for women's basketball. Why wouldn't a younger person, try to pay it forward and help impact the lives of girls and young women out there who can be impacted like I was when I was watching you play for Charlotte, and when I was watching women be in such high spaces when I was growing up. It's something that I want to make sure that every little girl or everybody out there can see the impact of women's sports and how much they mean.
Why do you think it gained popularity so fast?
It's funny because everybody thinks this is really fast, but before Bleacher Report even found me, I was crowdsourcing, trying to figure out how to get to Final Fours. ACC was my beat. So being a graduate of North Carolina State University, go Pack, I was utilizing my personal relationships there, NC State, UNC, Duke, Wake Forest, and like the local teams, and trying to figure out how to tell their stories. And then going to New York and being a part of their entertainment squads at Madison Square Garden, and seeing that my friends who were in the league didn't have their stories told. It's been a long time coming, but right now we're at a point of reflection in society, I feel like, where we're just like, why haven't we invested in women? Why haven't we invested in people of color? And really paying mind to those marginalized communities, to those who have been historically oppressed, and just showing how great we are. Like, everybody wants to talk about sport and culture. We are the culture, right? Like, look at you smooth, just smooth over there. You made the culture, you shift things. And so now that we know that women's sports, women's basketball has that power, I'm glad people are catching on. And yet this is going into my third year of HighlightHER, but this was decades coming. I'm over here, even in high school, my friend Jerry, who I was her manager, she tweeted out after the WNBA is so important commercial came out. She was like, Ari quit cheerleading, which is something I've done since I was 4 in high school, to be our manager. And it's just like an indication of how long this has really been coming,
So what were you doing in conjunction with trying to live out your passion? Like you can feel the passion of what you're doing, like you're living your passion. How did you make ends meet while tracking and trying to find some traction for your passion?
Well, Coach, I was an only child, and I was a rebellious little only child. So my dad is a mass comm professor at North Carolina Central. So I wanted to do everything but be in communications, but here we are. When I first moved up to New York, I was a model, and that's what made ends meet. I actually modeled for a job, and that was my job. A lot of people model for Instagram now. It's really big to be, on those brand deals, and that's no shade to them. But that modeling really paid my bills when I first moved up to New York. And when I realized that I could, cheer professionally and make a living off of that. Madison Square Garden isn't cheap. Like they give me a nice little paycheck. And so between modeling and being on the entertainment teams there, I was making ends meet. But I remember seeing summer after summer, again, my friend's stories not being told. So it was actually one of the drafts in the early teens that I walked up to people and talked to them and said, I want to do this. And they were like, you have no credibility, you're a cheerleader. So what I did, I started writing, and writing really helped me get the X's and O's of the game. I mean, I can break down the game, but not in a way you can, right? Not in a way somebody who actually played can. So I wanted to get as much exposure and study the game as much as I could within it, instead of like from a fan's perspective. But I think that it benefited me because I was able to have that fan perspective that wasn't a player perspective, but then get to talk to players about their perspectives and coaches about theirs. And that's what the joy comes from. It's like this game I'm forever indebted to, but I'm still a student of it. And I want to learn more and more and more. And yeah, I might miss my mark because, I'm 6 feet tall over here flying in the air. But I mean, clearly I'm like, Daddy, mother, why did we fall short with that one? But at least, I can do the service that I can do to the game and make it that.
Cool. So what did it take for the brands that HighlightHER has partnered with to see the value in, highlighting women's sports?
I was on a panel earlier in 2021, and they said the cost of inaction is greater than the risk right now. And I think that's widely known within bigger companies. And we see the popularity. You see how popping your team is all on these interwebs. You see the marketability. I think 8 out of the top 10 most lucrative collegiate players were women. And so the brands buy in from that, but HighlightHER in particular, you see, we didn't go to market for 2 years. We wanted to grow organically, have that grassroots feel to it, and just make sure that everybody that we partnered with was in alignment with what we believe in. And that's what's really important to me. It's not always about the coin, right? It's about spreading the passion and growing the game. And I feel like as long as you keep that perspective intact, it will be fine. And once it turns profitable, things change a little bit, but I always want to remain really, really authentic to my purpose, and that's growing the game in the most altruistic way I can.
What's the key to not losing the realness and the voice of HighlightHER when you have sponsors and partners like Gatorade and like Nike? Before you answer that though, favorite Gatorade flavor? Oh,
the light blue.
Light blue. Okay.
What are you? Well, let me guess. You're a red girl, aren't you?
No. I like the frosted, the icy. Yeah, that like almost you can see through a little cloud. You can kind of see through it.
Little cloud.
Favorite Nikes.
Oh, I'm a ones girl. Is that basic? I love Jordan ones. I think that they're so classic. And then I forgot the name of them. The ones that are made from recyclable materials. I forgot the name of those. I love those too. They feel like I'm walking on a cloud, but can't nobody touch your ones game, your dunks game either, coach. So like, I don't even want to go tip for tat with you with these Nikes, but I'm definitely a Jordan ones kind of girl. Your shoe collection is worth more than my life. I
actually just became somewhat of a sneakerhead, like over the past probably 2 years, because actually one of my players is a sneakerhead, and she used to just kind of show off her sneakers, and I'm just like, oh, okay, let me see. I'm competitive, so it came out of like a competitive thing where okay, she's got those. Let me one up her.
You one up everybody. I takes care from coach. I'm like, look at you stunting on all of us. Your shoes can pay my rent, coach. Your shoes can pay my rent.
So I like shoes that no one can get. Like I like shoes that don't have a release date. So
you get the exclusive. Not all of us are Dawn Staley now. Right. We just do what we can.
We're gonna touch a little bit later on, because of I get shoes that don't have release dates. There are a lot of haters out there. Oh my God.
You have haters regardless, but you're an innovator, so you can do that.
Okay. We're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about that next. But tell me how, what's the keys to not losing, the realness and the voice of HighlightHER, You know,
Mm-hmm.
when you are partnered with, you know, Gatorade and Nike and companies like that.
The partners never asked me to change. They knew me from before, and a lot of my clients, you know, my personal clients are the same. And so like they knew me before. And plus, I think as a brand manager, you have to stay in love with the game. So every single time I'm talking to a player, I fall in love with their story. Every single time I go into an interview, I'm just as excited as if I were the first time, if it were the first time. I'm always going to be a fan of the game. I love what it brought to me. I'm forever indebted to it. I remember, you know, Kristen Green from NC State Women's Basketball in '97, and she signed my card. Mind you, she didn't even finish out her eligibility. Lord help her. But she meant so much to me. She meant so much to me just because, you know, she spoke to me and treated me like a human. And like I had all the trading cards on my wall and everything like that. And I was able to go, you know, 2 hours down the street to see you guys play. And just knowing that little girl and how she viewed them, it's like, it's the same thing now. Even though a lot of the players are my friends, like it's still dope to see them tell them their stories. It's dope to see, you know, everybody tags me in things on Twitter and just, you know, having the jersey, having the tickets. It's so filling. And so I get that energy every single day when I'm on HighlightHER. And that's what I want to transpire off the page. And then thank God we have these brand partnerships now because we can do activations within the community. And the community is such an important factor of it. Like you see what you did at South Carolina, that's a culture. And I want to create that culture. Look, culture, not culture. But I want to create that culture and make sure that everybody stays so in love with basketball the way I am.
It's the energy for me. Like you are living your passion, and I love it. Like I want to know when someone is living what they're supposed to be living. Like you're living your truth, you're living what you love. Mm-hmm. I want to know what it takes to get them to that point, because not everybody's able. Like no. I am in, like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. Like when you are living what you're supposed to be doing, you can reach a lot more people because of that, you know. And it's people that's not just sports people, it's regular people. Like I probably have more regular people that come up to me and say thank you than the ones that are in the sport. And that's, you know, it's far reaching. So thank you for finding your passion. Thank you passion, for finding you, because you love what you do and you're expanding our, you know, women's sports, and I appreciate you. So I'm gonna love you up on you.
No. I received that, Coach, but thank you for igniting it. And you can't take that away. Like it's people like you that you know, make people like me who can give back. This is a product of everything that you guys built, and I think that that's really, really dope. I think that's really transcended between generations, and there's no denying it. And, you know, I have to throw this a little bit in because, you know, girl from the South, Romans 8:31, if God is for me, no one can be against me. So I feel like my journey was written for me beforehand. I didn't realize it until my mid-20s. And, you know, now in my 30s, I'm like, this lit here. You know, when you actually stop trying to rebel and prepare for your blessings to come, they come in abundance, okay? That's my word between 22, abundance and opulence, okay? And so I'm ready for more abundance, okay? God, from my mouth to his ears. But I just it's something to be said when you walk in your journey, and it's unwavering. And if it's something that's put in your heart and put in your mind, nobody can shake that, right? I've had plenty of times where I've heard no, plenty of people who told me that my ways were just not going to work in this industry. And what I did is I found a white space and I occupied it, because as a fan of the game, I wanted to see, you know, the content that I was putting out. But then I had a dope tribe around me that really helped me stay in there. Like all those times I wanted to quit. I remember one time in October 2018, I didn't get this job that I really, really thought I wanted. And LaChana was like, okay, you can cry today. But tomorrow, you know, you just figure it out. You know, like you can feel bad for yourself right now, but you know, something else is going to come. And I was like, but this is the job for me. And then a couple months later, Bleacher Report called. Mind you, they found me. And so it's just something that, You can pray and pray and pray to God, but if you're not ready for that blessing, he's not going to give it to you. You have to prepare, and you have to really know how to execute. You have to know how you want to deliver the message, because if you mess up, you don't know if you're going to have a second chance, especially as Black women. So all those years of preparation, all those years of rejection, it just made me more hungry. And you keep growing in hunger, you keep growing in passion, and you don't fall out of love. You rise in it. And so that was really, really cool to watch my development, to watch my friends' development, to be in this together, to uplift each other, and to see, I was around when Tina Roy was making Garnet and Black. These aren't things that are happening overnight. I want to stress that, but it's all about preparation. Though ACC was my beat, I still could tell you what Coach Close was doing over there in California. So it's just a lot of preparation, a lot of feeding into your passion. You have to nurture it, because if not, it will just stay stagnant, and stagnant is the scariest place to be.
Well, we're gonna have to add evangelist to your name.
It's the South.
Yeah, it's the South.
It's the South. The South did it to me.
Well, let's move on. Let's change topics a little bit. Let's talk a little WNBA Twitter. Okay. Hey. For every hashtag that takes off, there are countless stories or hashtags that don't get hijacked by haters. What has been the driving force that has made the WNBA Twitter thrive?
I just think that we're such a strong community because we're so passionate. There was no incentive before to support. We support because we really love women's basketball. We really love the WNBA. We really love women's sports. So when you're passionate about something, when you don't really get that much return, I mean, these are people that before 2 years ago, it was impossible to find games. Thank God that, more networks are buying in. Thank God League Pass is working and things like that. But these are people who are genuinely passionate about it. And when you have genuine passion without incentive, you're going to stick with it. And so hashtag WNBA Twitter is prominent. We got each other. We can't find news that much. You can't find as much news as say NBA Twitter. But we're out here and we're strong together. And there's so many varying points across WNBA Twitter, so many different types of people. They got, you got your tribes, within WNBA Twitter. And then we got some that are chubby, and we love that. And I think that any attention that's drawn to the game is great attention. And anything that's provocative really sparks discussion. And I think that all are important within that Twitter space. And you see now, I think it was like a 400% jump with NWSL, I think 271% with WNBA. And so however people can get the conversation going, more power to them.
So you threw those numbers, like what do you I think it's cool when like the WNBA Twitter account is trolled by all these people who make accounts just to troll. Like they go an extra step to hide. They go an extra step to say what they need to say, but even a little bit of time and effort they put into that says something. Like I look at that, I'm just like, this is really good because we got you to, we took time out of your day to make this account, to put your thumbs to action, to say something, to say something that's in your heart, I guess, just because it's women's sports, to say something cruel. I embraced it. I
live for your clapbacks. I live for the clapbacks. Somebody was like, I can't stand for this. You were like, we'll sit. I was like, I love the Dawn Staley clapback now. But yeah, no, if they want to take the time to do that, I mean, I'm thankful to TJ and the rest of the Twitter sports fam who have figured out how to weed those out of my mentions because they don't even show up for me. But I think as long as you sprinkle your passion on everything, the passion grows and the haters will still be there, but they'll talk about it. And then you see how much more people defend women's sports now. And that's something to be seen.
So do you think the amount of trolls that are occurring, and you got somebody to weed that out, is it dipping? Is it less than?
We're always going to be rooted in misogyny. That's just the fact of the matter. But because there are platforms like HighlightHER Just Women's Sports, W Slam, Overtime. They're showing the talents. And so what's happening with the next generation coming in, they're seeing basketball as basketball. Like, you know, one thing that's really prominent when Paige grew up and whenever we do content with Paige and whenever we do content with Zaya, when they were in high school, it was never like oh, she's terrible for, like, it was never that. It was like oh, she can ball. And that's what I thought was really, really cool. This next generation doesn't see men versus women's basketball like that. You know, it could be because this generation was born into a WNBA. They didn't have to worry about, you know, overseas. They didn't have to worry about not being in the professional space. They see examples like yourself. They see even like Asia's now like an example for the next generation, which is wild because she's so young, but they see these people who grow up and make a living playing basketball. So it's not that far-fetched for women to be in these spaces. And once we can get rid of that, that's what's going to be the thing that smooths it out. But right now, it seems like the trolls are like the older middle-aged people that are, it's confusing. I'm like, come on, millennials, we got to do a little bit better than that, you know? But I feel like once Gen Z takes over, it's going to be a little bit more, you know, equal or equitable.
Mm-hmm. So do you have any advice for WNBA players that are trying to grow their voice and their platform?
I talk to a lot of them a lot of times, and I'm like, y'all, these stories, they can be yours. You can own your own story and you can present it how you want to present it, whether that be on Twitter, whether that be on Instagram, whether that make a podcast, a website. Don't wait for somebody to tell your story if you want to tell it your way. Also, find a journalist that you trust with your story. I love what Taylor Rooks did with Candace Parker. I love when I can get a story out of Skylar Diggins-Smith, because these are players that have been so not shut out by media, but media doesn't necessarily understand them, right? And so they might skew the story in a different way, but find a journalist you trust and be able to tell that story the way you want it told. You can control your narrative. There's so many resources out there to do it yourself. I tell any young person out there, any person, period, everything you need is on your phone. You have a camera on your phone. You have quick voice on your phone. You have notes on your phone. There's so much that you can do on your phone that you don't have to wait for a major network to cover it. You don't have to wait for, you know, for example, Kaiser Donchizit. Nobody knew what she was going through. She didn't open about it with anybody in the media, in the mainstream media at least. And she released a statement on her behalf through her Twitter. You know, like Flau'jae, she announced her, and Kiki Rice, they announced their signings on IG Live. And it's just little ways to get through to the public without that middleman that could either twist your words or stop your story. And you can reach more people that way too.
Cool.
Especially TikTok. Ooh, girl, I'm trying to get into TikTok. You know, that's a little, you know, young for me, but I'm trying. And that's the next wave. That's the next wave of it. And you can show your personality on there. And that's dope too. That's another way to get a fan base.
Yeah, I can't get it, but if I
were to, and then next month you're gonna have it.
No, I have a TikTok account, but I don't use it. But if I were to get into it like right now, I'm probably more like Tay Diggs. Have you seen his?
But you know what? Tay Diggs makes me smile.
Yes,
and you will make all the people smile. let me tell you, whenever you want to join a new platform, Coach, I don't think you'll have any problem accumulating a following. That's for sure.
So I can't get it though. I don't even know how to work it. Like
you hit it with the two-step with the Starbucks in your hand, you'll be fine.
Right. All right, well, let's talk about amplifying female sports and voices. It seems like promoting women's sports and female athletes is a trendy thing to do right now. What is the key to creating platforms and outlets that are both authentic and sustainable?
I wouldn't even worry about sustainability. I would say focus on the authenticity of it. Focus on why you want to create it. If you're out there and wanting to create a platform for women's sports, why do you want to do it? So like you have the ways of, say, Chloe Pavlik, when she started Overtime Women's Basketball, she wanted to show highlights. When I started HighlightHER, I wanted to tell stories. You know, Just Women's Sports, you guys have your own thing. And so it's just a matter of how you want to tell it, how you want to do it, how you want to showcase it, figure that out. So say like Herbie Porter, she's great, a great example. She does a lot of marketing. So she's going to give those X's and O's of like marketing and getting into the high tech part of women's sports. There's always a way that you can tell that's true to yourself. Just figure out what that is and occupy that space as you wish, and be consistent with it, and don't expect an instant reward from it, but just know that if you're passionate about this, it will pay off in ways you would never imagine. So, everybody out there who's trying to start a platform, don't wait for your yes. Go ahead and do it, and do it your way, and people will bite. Like, we see on WNBA Twitter, the committee has started. They didn't like the way rankings were before, and so they put their heads together and they started their own thing, and that's dope. And it might rub people the wrong way, but it's fine because you're creating noise around the game. You have, Beyond the W with Low. She started that before HighlightHER was even thought of, and she's stayed true to her, and she's taken breaks when she needs to, and she's coming back. You have Jasmine Baker, who is a really big staple in the culture, and so she's like, I want merch. So she created her own merch. She collabed with the right people to do merch. Do it your way, and nobody can stop you in that way. But there's no magic touch to make it sustainable. You just got to maintain that passion.
Exactly. So there seems to be a natural intersection between women's sports and activism. What have you seen with female athletes, teams, leagues, really using their social media platforms to make stands and influence people and communities for positive change?
I just remember last season, it was like a revelation, because it's like the world realized we couldn't take off our Black skin, and the world realized that we were, Black women dealing with the plight of this, because the WNBA spearheaded it and was so vocal. You have Renee Montgomery, who she wasn't, I don't think people remember, Renee wasn't as power to the people before, but she found her voice within that. She was out there passing out waters, and she really, at the protest, and she really made some boss moves in order to get the word out. You have Natasha Clark, who's rebellious as hell, and just has been the voice of the people, and found that. And then you have Nneka Ogwumike, who really gets through to the higher powers out there, and really is eloquent with the way she speaks. You have the whole Atlanta Dream, who was able to step in to themselves and so fearlessly do the right thing. And so when you band together like that, and you're able to have look to your left and your right and have 143 people next to you stand in solidarity, that's cool. And so you have the next gen, the NCAA basketball players looking at you like, oh, we can do this too. And when you have a coach that empowers you, like you did to them, because not everybody's that blessed. Let's just make it very clear. Not everybody is as blessed as, the South Carolinas out there, as, other coaches that will understand their plight. But just knowing that they can't take off that Black skin, they can't take off being Black women. They have Black children, they have Black husbands and wives and significant others. They have Black family members that they have to think about when they stop playing those 40-minute regulations. And so it was just a reality check. I remember I was interviewing Allison Felix, and I couldn't even make it through the interview because she started talking about her kid, and I just started crying. We weren't okay last year, and we weren't okay with not being okay, but we knew the plight that we had, and we had to join together because we want a better future for the next gen. We want a better future for ourselves. Shoot, the world was imploding. It's still imploding. We're doing the best we can, doing the best we can to make a difference so that it doesn't get worse, and just being that mirror. I think that a Black woman is the best version of being a mirror to you. She'll call you out on your BS. And it's funny because everybody's like, well, why are you being so critical? But I feel like things you love, you should be critical of it. Like we can rep USA all day, but still be critical of it and want it to change and want it to be better. And so I think that's what it is with society. Like, yeah, we love the freedom we do have, but think about the oppression that exists. Think about the violence that's within it. And we want better for, those who fought for us before. We want better for our kids and our significant others and our friends and our family.
Let me ask you this while we're on the topic of activism. Mm-hmm. Do you think you can disagree with someone but still support them?
I am a firm believer of maintaining your mental health, and things, to me, Black Lives Matter in particular, That's not a political statement. It's not up for debate if somebody's life matters or not. And so that's one of the ones that I'm unwavering about, because if you have to debate whether or not my life matters, I can't associate myself with you. That's something I firmly believe. However, other societal things, other political things that are truly political can be up for debate, and you can still present cases and have open dialogue. I feel like open dialogue is the main thing to push things forward. And so you have those discussions, see other people's side of things. But as far as everything that happened with the police brutality last year, I don't see an alternative way. And this is me personally, and I don't mind offending anybody out there, but my life mattering is it's nothing but black and white. Either you think that it matters or you don't. And so I don't think that's up for debate. But other things, obviously the world is large. The country is large, and people are from different regions, and they believe different things. And so be open to discussion and don't be narrow-minded. But as far as a life having value, that's something that I'm just like, nope, I will not go back and forth with you about.
Yep. I got that. Something happened last year where, our players decided last year to silently protest what was happening in their world. Okay. Mm-hmm. Police brutality, lives being lost at the hand of police officers. So they decided to silently sit during the national anthem. Mm-hmm. And I got a text message from someone who supported our team. Mm-hmm. So, he basically said, all right, that's enough. Like, get your girls to stand up for the national anthem. You can do more. You could do it in a different way. But, basically, I'm tired of seeing them sit. Mm-hmm. So I didn't respond. I didn't respond right away. And I don't know what made me wait. But I waited. It happened actually on January the 5th. That's my mother's birthday. I always remember that. It's my mother's birthday. Mm-hmm. So I got that text message. You know what happened January the 6th? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In D.C., down in the state capitol. So I actually responded that day to see how he felt about what happened there. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. And you know what his response was? Huh. He said that, and he's a veteran, because he told me all of that in his text message. He said, everybody has room for improvement. Huh?
Oh, Lord.
Everybody has room for improvement when you saw other veterans go down there and do what they did, and you have this double standard of a silent protest versus, kicking ass.
Yeah.
Down at the Capitol. So taking lives, all of that. So, and I, ever since I asked him about that, and he said what he said, I never spoke to him again until recently. He actually recently texted me because he was excited about the Stanford game. A blast from the past, a long time.
I bet he was.
Yeah, so I am not responding. So, and I bring the question up to you, can you disagree and support? Because I said it in reference to, like, if you disagree with our players sitting, can you still support, like, as a fan, as someone that enjoys basketball? I don't know. I think there's
what it is. It's historically Black people have been hired to entertain. You see the minstrel shows and everything, the Black entertainment factor, and it's the entitlement of him. It's the audacity of him telling you that he's tired of seeing it. How about we're tired of, being shot, or we're tired of being the fatalities of police brutality. And so people choose that's willful ignorance. That is you are stuck in your ways, and you want to shut up, and you want the women to shut up and dribble. That doesn't make sense to me. As long as we're performing, we're entertaining you, we're winning championships for you, that's nothing but it's historically layered. Okay, that's historically layered. But every time people are offended about the kneeling for the anthem or, standing in solidarity against it. We kneel in sports when people are injured or when people are sick. And so I don't understand why people have inherited it as this direct attack to them, because that means you're not even opening your eyes to seeing what the actual root of the problem is. And judging from his response, this ain't the best person anyway, because I'm looking like he's over here. I mean, I don't want to get too political on here, but he's over here talking about something like dance monkey. That's what it's giving me. And that's what's really, really like mortifying to me. And so you can't expect people to show up for you on the court if you can't even show up for their humanity. You can't expect people to, perform for you when they're grieving the loss of their brothers and sisters and they don't know if they're going to be next. And that's what I challenge people, especially last year, to understand. It's uncomfortable for everybody, but just think about the uncomfortability and the trauma on top of that, and then having to perform for an America who you don't even know wants to show up for you, you don't even know if they want to keep you alive. And so, or that the system is against your livelihood. You have Kanye saying, wasn't supposed to make it past 25 before he lost his mind. But, wasn't supposed to make it past 25. That's really real. Like, that's really real. And people think that it's so long ago, and it wasn't. And especially in the South. And you and I know both know, like, especially tailgating and things like that, you see everything. It's the strange dichotomy of walking past the Confederate flag while they're bumping Lil Wayne. This was 2009 college days. But like, walking past that and seeing that. And it's really, really interesting to me how people, when they're sick of it or when they're tired of seeing it, they think it will just go away. Same way with COVID. Just because we're tired of it doesn't mean it's going anywhere. Right. Racism. We're tired of it, but it's not going anywhere until we make radical change. And that's what I think that the players have drawn attention to, and it rubbed people the wrong way. But if racism is rubbing you wrong, but you're not being rubbed wrong by all the deaths at the hand of police brutality, you have to really reevaluate yourself and see, do I support these athletes as athletes, or do I just see them as forms of entertainment and just they can win me things. They can have this false sense of pride that transcends to me for no reason. It's entitlement and audacity.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Well said. So let's talk a little fashion and the WNBA. Period. We can't not talk about fashion and the W. Starting with the iconic orange hoodie. It was in Sports Business Journal's Fashion Statement of the Year in 2020. Mm-hmm. What made it so iconic?
I honestly think the simplicity of it. The new logo had just come out. It's orange is a disruptive color. Whenever there's a disruptiveness, people are drawn to it. And it was dope. And then a lot of times people try to take away when NBA supports WNBA. I think it's dope having allies like that. And so we see Kobe on the sidelines with Gigi rocking it, and it makes it instantly cool. But you also see influential figures, like I saw Ciara wearing it. It's the fact that we had so long begged for merch, and when we finally got one, it was a cool piece, and it was simple. You can rock it with like the fatigue pants and a nice pair of ones. Pick from Dawn Staley's closet which pair of ones you want. But you could just rock it with anything, and it was so disruptive, and you knew it was a staple. It was a color, it was a logo, it was just everything about it. So yeah. So
outside the hoodie, players in the W have also embraced showing off their personalities through fashion. Uh-huh. There's even a Twitter handle dedicated to WNBA League Fits. Is this more evident that the league has arrived, so to speak?
I mean, they're fly. I'm glad we have photographers in the tunnel now, because we probably didn't need them back in the early 2000s. Y'all look crazy. But no, I'm just kidding. But they're stunting, and it brings more pride. It brings more pride to the game, because you see players getting dressed, being more intentional behind their fits and rising to the top. I've really, it's no secret that I'm obsessed with Diamond DeShields, and I think that her style is impeccable, and she can give you a range of style too. Get you a girl who can do both, because period. And so I just love to see her fashions. And another one who's really slept on, Izzy B. She has a really classic schoolgirl fashion, or Isabel Harrison, sorry. Yep. Has a really classic schoolgirl fashion. But if you want flashy, you can go to Taya Cooper. But if you want flashy but masculine, go to Erica Wheeler. It's like so many different types of fashion. Or if you want chill, Amanda's Ivy, she'll give you a mix. If you want, that country swag, it's Courtney Williams. There's so many different like styles for everyone to choose from. And you can follow with players in that way too. Like the average fan who wouldn't normally be into it. We see a lot more partnerships with GQ with the league because these players are showing out. Dede Richards. I mean, everybody in New York loves her. They love her signature poof balls and they love her crop tops. And she's just made it's so easy for little Black girls to wear their poof balls and be proud of them. And then for us to like rock our crop tops and everything. And then like Dejanay, I love when she wears her dad's jersey. Now I know how to rock a football jersey. It's really cute, you know what I mean? So I get inspiration from them and it brings a new sense of fandom to the game because those who didn't necessarily care about it before now can say, oh, she stunts. So let's figure it out. Or if like Dana Evans with her lashes, where she get her lashes from, who does her lashes, and just knowing that you can identify different parts with players is really cool.
You know which one I liked? The outfit I liked?
What?
Well, it happened in the playoffs. Okay. Asia Wilson,
yes.
Kelsey Plum had a bet on her college coach, Mike Neighbors in Arkansas and us, and whoever won that game, whoever lost the game, they had to wear the opposite team's outfit. So Kelsey Plum looked great in the garnet and black. Shout out to Kelsey Plum. Asia, we got your back. And look forward to next year.
With Chelsea Gray.
Chelsea Gray. Actually, I'm going to do the honors and pick her outfit out and send it to Asia to give to her.
But look, outside of that, because Kelsey did look cute with a little black letter in Gamecock. But anyway, she looks so cute. But Asia shut it down because I want to let it be known, ask all of Twitter. I have been talking about jersey dresses for years. And I'm so glad Miss Asia showed up in her jersey dress and do-rag and made it do what it do because I have been trying to tell people, this is cute. Wear these jersey dresses. And so I'm glad she did it and set it off because Miss Ma'am showed out. Okay?
Hey, they lost the playoff game when she wore my jersey, the jersey dress. Yeah.
Yikes. I didn't even realize that.
I did realize it. I did. Darn it. But anyway, what's next for you? Like what's next for Ari Chambers?
Coach, I just want to stay consistent and keep telling stories. Whenever, like I said, I am so blessed to be doing exactly what I want to do. And so keep it going to make sure that people know that this isn't a trend. And it's funny because now we're getting recognized, right? The media personalities are getting recognized and we have all this incentive, but even if that wasn't there, it would be the same thing. It was the same thing before. It's going to be the same thing after it's, quote unquote trendy, but hopefully the goal is for it to stay in the mainstream. And so that's my goal next, to make sure that, it stays in the mainstream, that platforms like HighlightHER, Just Women's Sports, WSLAM, Overtime, even On Her Turf, ESPNW still are challenged to tell the stories and break the news and continue to lead the discussions around women's sports in general. And for me personally, I'm trying to learn more sports. I'm really, really strong. I played volleyball, so volleyball is not an issue for me. Basketball, obviously, and cheerleading and gymnastics, but learning like lacrosse. Athletes Unlimited has a lacrosse league, so I'm trying to figure out the rules of that. I told you I got into soccer, and all I got from soccer was the flying cat and the blue stop. And I'm trying to challenge myself to do more with soccer too. And that, talk to my friends who played and really make an impact, an actual tangible impact on the soccer space too, because they deserve it as well. But just making sure that we're all pushing it forward so these players can get equal coverage and equitable salaries and can really make a living to show, our future generations that they can do it too.
All right, that's cool. So we got one last thing. It's called the NetLife. Yeah, it's called the NetLife Shot Clock. So I'm gonna ask you. Okay, it's something fun. I'm gonna ask you a question, and you got 20 seconds or less to answer. But if you go over, so be it.
It's giving pageant days, but
okay.
Sure.
All right. Stories, reels, or posts?
I come from a model generation, so give me a still photo anytime. I have not received the talent of making a cool reel. I tried to do a little dance with Jasmine Thomas, Elizabeth Williams, and Q in Turkey. It kind of hit, but it didn't really. So I'm gonna stick with my posing, and I'll give y'all this space, okay? And these fits, because that's what y'all gonna get, okay?
All right, well, okay. Best basketball influencer besides yourself.
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna say Chloe Pavlik. She's done everything. She's coached,
Okay.
she's started a platform, and she's done broadcast. Chloe
Okay,
Pavlik.
look at that. Okay, Chloe. Shout out to Chloe. All right, this is a tough one right here. If you could only follow one WNBA player on Twitter, who would it be?
Okay. Ooh, this is hard. Okay. I'm gonna give an original statement because she doesn't necessarily still play. Amani McGee Stafford is hilarious.
Okay.
Hilarious. I would say her just because it's just so funny. Her and Lexi Brown are like funny follows for me, and I just want to stay entertained. So I think that one of them two would be really, really funny.
Okay. Who's the funniest WNBA player?
Courtney Williams. It's not even close. Not even close.
All right. Who's the best dressed?
Diamond.
Okay, you like Diamond.
I love Diamond.
All right. Orange hoodie or black hoodie?
Ooh. I like tradition, so orange, but like black is like my favorite color outside of red, so orange.
All right. 3-on-3 or 5-on-5?
You know what? I'm gonna say 3-on-3 because I recently got back from the 3-on-3 tournament in Miami, and that thing is stressful. Okay, I would otherwise say 5-on-5, but because my heart rate goes like this, with 3-on-3, we're gonna say 3-on-3.
3-on-3 is hard.
It seems like it.
It's hard. I mean, I haven't played it, but I watched Alicia, Stephanie Dawson, Jackie Young, Kelsey. We watched them up close, and after they won a gold medal, I asked Alicia Gray, I said, Alicia, do you want to do this again? She said, no.
She said,
that was hard.
Is what she said. she said country.
Right. So I can see that. It was a great move by the Olympics to add that, implement the 3-on-3 because it was pretty
stressful.
exciting. It is.
Stress.
All right, well, on this podcast, I'm talking leadership, disruptors, change makers. It's hoops, it's politics, it's pop culture. It's the net sum of life. So before I let you go, I ask all my guests for some words of wisdom that they either receive that helps guide them or that they want to pass along to others. Ari, what's your words of wisdom to share?
I will reiterate what was told to me. Never be satisfied with being the first or the only. So when you look to your left and your right and you don't see your sister there, or your brother there, something's wrong. You can celebrate yourself in that moment, but get the word, open that door. And then another thing, once you get that ingrained in your mind, don't be mad if you bust down a door and people walk through it. That's another thing. That's something that can really keep you grounded. I know a lot of people, especially in the women's basketball community, are facing frustration because it's been years of tireless work. And then now it's trending. So people are rising to the top really rapidly. But that's why we bust down those doors. That's exactly why we put forth so much effort. So you cannot be mad if you worked hard to bust down that door and people are walking through it.
Appreciate you. Thanks, Ari. I truly appreciate you coming on. The energy was there. Last thing, do you have anything you want to plug or promote?
Just follow HighlightHER on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And we're doing what we can, I would suggest, outside of myself, follow every women's sports brand on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, all of that, because what we're doing is something that's going to create for a better future in general. My personal is Ari Ivory. It's a lot more of a cluster of things, but if you want to get to know me more, Ari Ivory, but the rest of it, just follow every women's sports brand. We're out here trying, we're out here doing, and I think that that's really, really dope.
You heard it here. Grow the game, follow every women's sports, anything, and continue to help us push female sports forward. Appreciate you, Ari.
Always, Coach, showing up for you.
And thank you all so much for listening. Don't forget to follow NetLife with Dawn Staley on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. NetLife is produced by Just Women Sports. For more great sports content, go to justwomensports.com. Be sure to subscribe to the newsletter and YouTube channel and follow along on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And this is Dawn Staley signing off, and look forward to having some great conversations.